Okay, guys, now it's time for case number 1, bypassing CSP via ajaxgoogleapis.com. CSP stands for Content Security Policy, and this is one of the most powerful defensive technologies that mitigates a number of attacks on modern web applications. One of the most notable examples of the attack that is mitigated by CSP is cross-site scripting. And that's actually the reason number 1 why companies are implementing CSP. They want to mitigate XSS attacks. And as I told you, this is great technology from the defensive side point of view, but I am a bug hunter. And for me, this technology is an obstacle. I have to first bypass CSP in order to have working exploit, okay? And this is a challenge for me. I need to do it. And it is especially important in the realities of bug bounty programs. In many bug bounty programs, you will get your reward when your exploit is fully working. So again, you have to first bypass CSP to have your working exploit. Otherwise, you will not get your money at the very end, okay? So this is a kind of motivation for you, why it is so important to learn about CSP bypassing. And I will tell you even more. CSP is becoming to be implemented more and more by different companies. And if you have no idea how to bypass CSP, then your exploits will not be working. You will not be earning money in bug bounty programs. And well, then the game is, let's say, over. So now I believe that you are convinced that this is so important subject to play with. And I've got a couple of cases related to CSP bypassing because this is really the one of the major obstacles right now for bug hunters. So it's so important to spend more time on this subject. And in the upcoming cases, I will be presenting different CSP implementations, and I will show you how to bypass them. But let's start with this case, the first case related to bypassing CSP, how to bypass CSP via ajaxgoogleapis.com. Now we've got a motivation. Now you know why it's so important. So let's jump to the demo. I've got a demo. The demo is located here, training.local CSP, csp1.php, and let's discuss this case from the very beginning till the very end, okay? So let me provide this here, training.local /csp/csp1.php, okay? Yeah. Here is my demo. Let me make it a little bit bigger. Let me now discuss it with you. So what you can see here is content security policy. You see that this policy is like script source self, ajaxgoogleapis.com. And this policy is actually about allowing only the scripts from the same domain. So there is self means training.local. So my web application is hosted on the domain training.local. So I allow the scripts from the same domain. That's why you can see script source self, okay? And in addition to this, I allowed the scripts from ajaxgoogleapis.com. This is my content security policy. It seems to be secure, right? We are allowing scripts from the same domain and also from ajaxgoogleapis.com because there are some nice libraries that we are using in our web application, okay? This is also one of the most frequently encountered content security policies, okay? So it looks like something secure, but keep in mind one thing before I go into the details. I presented here the content security policy definition on this website so that you can see how it looks like, because in a couple of minutes, I will be discussing how to bypass this CSP policy. But actually, the CSP policy is defined in the response header. This is how the browser knows that CSP is implemented, okay? Very important, keep it in mind. So let me right now go to the burp proxy. Let me show you the response from this web application, and let me show you how it looks like. So here is the response. Oh, yeah, we've got CSP, CSP1.php, and you can see content security policy, script source, self, Ajax, Google APIs.com. This is the place where CSP is implemented. This is how the browser knows that CSP is implemented, okay? Keep it in mind. But for your own, simplicity of learning, I put this CSP definition on this website so that I can easily discuss it, without switching between the web application and the proxy and stuff like that. I just want to make it convenient for you. I mean, this learning process, okay? Okay, so far so good. Now, let me show you that indeed this CSP policy blocks the XSS attack, okay? I've got here XSS injection area, and first I'll put here my name, and you will see that my name is reflected back in response, okay? This name is also sent here in the URL, reflected back in response, so chances are we're gonna have cross-site scripting vulnerability here, but I want to show you that this CSP implementation actually blocks cross-site scripting here. So first I'm gonna go to the DevTools, and I will open up the console because I want to show you something, okay? And now in the XSS payload area, I will provide, for example, script alert 1 to 3 and close this script, okay? This is my script. What you're gonna see in the response is, well, no pop-up with a message 1 to 3. Why? Let's analyze the message in the console, and that's the reason why I opened the console in the DevTools. Content security policy. The page's settings blocked the loading of a resource at self, and the source is alert 1 to 3. So as you can see, my XSS attack has been mitigated by content security policy, and you can clearly see it in the console. Now the question is, why was it actually mitigated? Please notice that I provided script alert 1 to 3 close script. This is inline scripting, right? This is how XSS attack works actually. We are providing inline script in our payload. And now please go back to the content security policy definition. We only allow scripts from the same domain and from the domain ajaxgoogleapis.com. So inline scripting is not allowed by this content security policy, and that's the reason why the XSS attack is mitigated, okay? So far so good. Now you see how these all pieces work together, how CSP is blocking my attack. But what I want to teach you finally is how to bypass this content security policy, which is a lot of fun here. And please take a look at this payload, because this payload is what I'm gonna put in a minute into XSS injection area, and this payload will bypass CSP and I will be able to launch XSS, which is my final goal, okay? So please follow me when I will be analyzing this payload just step by step, okay? So what you can see first is div, and you can see that there is ID equals sign P. So I'm going to create a div element identified by P. Next, you can see ng app, which means that this div is going to be used by AngularJS. Now you can ask a question, what for? I will answer this question in a couple of minutes, okay? Next, you can see ng CSP. And it means that AngularJS is going to be working in CSP mode, which is actually true because we've got CSP implemented here. And finally, you can see ng-click $event view alert access. This is an information what kind of action is going to be executed by AngularJS when this element is clicked. So this element is div identified by P. Once it is clicked somehow, then AngularJS executes event view alert access. Okay? So far, so good. Now you can notice that I am talking about AngularJS, and where is this AngularJS actually, right? That's the good question. Well, we need to load it from ajaxgoogleapps.com, and we can do it because ajaxgoogleapps.com is whitelisted or is just included in our content security policy. In other words, we allow the scripts from ajaxgoogleapps.com, and one of the libraries out there is AngularJS. So we can load it, and it will be fine from the point of view of the content security policy definition, okay? That's why we've got the next part. Script source, ajaxgoogleapps.com, ajax libs, AngularJS 1.6.6, Angular min.js, okay? So I'm just loading AngularJS. And now one thing is missing. We've got AngularJS loaded. And once the div identified by P is clicked, then AngularJS will execute alert with a message XSS. But the question is how to click this div identified by P automatically so that AngularJS executes this alert with a message XSS. We need something to automatically click this div identified by P. And for this purpose, we are going to use another library from ajaxgoogleapps.com. Please take a look here. Script async source ajaxgoogleapps.com/JS API. And this is another library from ajaxgoogleapps.com. Again, I can load libraries and scripts from ajaxgoogleapps.com because this is fine from the point of view of the definition of my content security policy, right? And now the question is, why am I actually loading JS API? What is so interesting out there? Well, you can find out there the callback. Please take a look at this part. Callback =p.click. Callback means, actually, what kind of functions gonna be executed as a result of callback and automatically executed, right? So as a result of callback, we are going to automatically execute p.click. So we are going to execute click function on element identified by P. And this is how we will automatically click our div identified by P. And once it is automatically clicked, our alert XSS will be triggered or executed by AngularJS. I hope that you are following my logic because it's a little bit complicated here. Okay, and that's it. All puzzles are connected together, all dots are connected together, and everything is fine from the point of view of content security policy. We are not using here inline scripting at all. Great, so let me now take this payload and let me copy this payload to XSS injection area, but first I'm gonna close this console. I don't need it. Let me paste it here. Let me click send. And what you finally see is a beautiful alert with a message XSS. Indeed, I am able to bypass CSP via ajaxgoogleapis.com. That's great information. Now my exploit, is fully working, and now I can get my money in Bug Bounty program. So yeah, this is how it works. And let me now go to the slides and let me make some summary. So this was my content security policy definition, script source self ajaxgoogleapis.com. Now the question was how to bypass CSP via ajaxgoogleapis.com. Just use AngularJS together with callback, and finally you're gonna have XSS. When you are going to load JS API, then there is a callback as I presented to you. So you are actually using AngularJS together with JS API, but you need JS API to have this callback functionality. And then finally, you've got XSS. I believe that this is clear for you. And yeah, I presented to you the payload for bypassing this CSP step by step. And finally, let me emphasize one remark here, okay? AngularJS is not used by this web application. I loaded AngularJS from ajaxgoogleapis.com because I needed it to bypass CSP. But this web application itself is not using AngularJS. In my own payload, I'm loading AngularJS from ajaxgoogleapis.com because I need it. So don't think that there is a kind of prerequisite for this attack that AngularJS must be used by the web application, so that only in this case you can make this bypassing of CSP possible. No. In my own payload, I load AngularJS. AngularJS is not used by the web application at all, okay? So this is it. I hope you find it informative. I hope that you like it. And we are done with this case. So let's jump to the next one and let me show you more about bypassing CSP.